I still remember the exact moment I realized someone had stolen my leather jacket. Well, not stolen, borrowed without asking, which at a house party in your mid-20s is basically the same thing. It was my favorite jacket, this perfectly worn-in brown leather bomber that I'd found at a vintage shop in Portland 3 years earlier. It fit like it had been made for my body specifically, and I'd worn it so much that it had molded to my shoulders, softened at the elbows, developed this rich patina that you can't fake. The party had been at my friend Christina's place, one of those sprawling gatherings where friends bring friends who bring acquaintances, and suddenly there are 40 people crammed into a 2-bedroom apartment. I'd hung the jacket on the coat rack by the door when I arrived, and when I went to leave around midnight, it was gone. In its place was this sad, threadbare denim thing that definitely wasn't mine. I asked around, but you know how it is. Everyone's had a few drinks, music's loud, nobody remembers seeing anything. Christina felt terrible, promised to text everyone who'd been there, but I wasn't holding my breath. In my experience, things that disappear at parties stay disappeared. 3 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey, I think I might have your jacket. Are you the guy who was wearing the brown leather bomber at Christina's on Saturday?" My heart actually jumped. I texted back immediately. "Yes, that's mine. Do you have it?" "I do. I'm so sorry. I grabbed what I thought was my friend's jacket when I left. Didn't realize until I got home. I feel like an idiot." "No worries," I typed, even though I'd been internally mourning that jacket for 3 days straight. "Just glad it's not gone forever. When can we meet up?" "Are you free tomorrow? I work near downtown. There's a coffee shop on 5th and Morrison, Courier Coffee. Know it?" I knew it. Small place, good espresso, always busy around lunch. "Sure. What time?" 1 o'clock work? Perfect, see you then." He didn't sign his name, and I realized I had no idea who I was meeting. The number wasn't saved in my phone, which meant he'd gotten it from Christina, which meant he was probably a friend of a friend. I tried to remember everyone I'd talked to at the party, but it was a blur of faces and conversations. The next day, I showed up at Courier Coffee 5 minutes early, which is unlike me, but I was weirdly nervous. Not just about getting my jacket back. Something about the texts had felt different. The way he'd apologized, the immediate offer to return it, the specific location and time. It felt considerate, thoughtful. I ordered a cortado and found a table near the window where I could watch the door. The place was packed with the lunch crowd, laptops open, conversations humming. I checked my phone, 1 o'clock, then 1:05. I was starting to think maybe he'd forgotten when the door opened and this guy walked in, and I knew instantly it was him. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair that fell across his forehead, and these striking gray-blue eyes that scanned the room until they landed on me. He was wearing a black peacoat and carrying a shopping bag, and even from across the room I could see he was nervous. He raised the bag slightly, questioning, and I nodded. He wove through the tables and stopped in front of me. "Micah? That's me." I stood up and we did that awkward half-handshake thing. His hand was warm, his grip firm. "I'm Tavish. God, I'm so sorry about this whole thing." He set the shopping bag on the table between us. "I brought your jacket." "Tavish," I repeated. "That's a name you don't hear every day." He smiled and it transformed his whole face. "Scottish, my dad's side. I usually tell people it means twin, which makes me sound mysterious until they find out I'm an only child." I laughed, and some of the nervousness dissipated. "Well, thanks for tracking me down. Christina said she'd text people, but I honestly didn't think I'd see this jacket again." I felt horrible when I realized. He gestured to the bag. "Go ahead, make sure it's the right one." I reached into the bag and pulled out the jacket. My jacket. I could tell immediately by the weight of it, the smell of the leather, the small scuff on the left sleeve where I'd brushed against a brick wall. I held it up, relief flooding through me. And that's when I noticed. The jacket was smaller, not slightly smaller, significantly smaller, like several sizes smaller. I looked at Tavish, confused. This is definitely my jacket, but something's wrong with it. His expression shifted from relief to concern. What do you mean? It's shrunk or something. Look. I held it up to my chest. The shoulders were narrow, the arms short. It looked like it would fit a teenager. Tavish's face went pale. Oh no, no. What? I washed it. He ran his hand through his hair, genuine distress in his voice. I thought, since I'd taken it by mistake, I'd at least clean it before returning it. I didn't even think about leather. I just threw it in the washing machine like an absolute moron. I stared at the jacket in my hands, my perfect, irreplaceable 3 years of breaking-in jacket, now a child's size. Micah, I'm so sorry, I'll replace it. I'll buy you a new one, whatever it costs. I should have been angry. I wanted to be angry. But when I looked at his face, at the genuine horror and remorse there, I couldn't summon it. He'd made a mistake, a really, really unfortunate mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. It's okay, I heard myself say. It's not okay. That jacket was clearly important to you and I destroyed it. You didn't destroy it. You just made it suitable for a much smaller person. I tried to smile. Maybe I know a tiny human who needs outerwear. He didn't smile back. Please let me make this right. Can I buy you lunch? At least let me do that. I looked at him, standing there, this tall, handsome stranger who'd gone out of his way to return something he'd accidentally taken, who'd tried to do something nice and ended up making it worse, who looked like he might actually be sick over this whole situation. And I thought, why not? Lunch sounds good, I said. The relief on his face was immediate. Yeah? Okay. There's a Thai place 2 blocks from here. Best pad Thai in the city. We walked together through the drizzly Portland afternoon, the ruined jacket still in the shopping bag I carried. Tavish kept apologizing every few minutes until I finally told him if he said sorry one more time, I was going to hit him with the bag. Sorry, he said automatically, then caught himself. I mean, okay, no more apologies. The Thai restaurant was small and warm, condensation on the windows, the smell of basil and lemongrass heavy in the air. We ordered at the counter and found a booth in the back. Tavish insisted on paying, which I didn't argue with given the circumstances. So, I said once we'd settled in with our drinks, tell me about this party. What were you even doing there? I don't remember seeing you. Friend of Christina's roommate, he explained. Jake, we worked together. He said there was a party. I'd just moved to Portland a few months ago and didn't really know anyone yet, so I figured why not. Where'd you move from? Boston. I'm a graphic designer, got hired by a small agency here. The weather's basically the same, just with different accents. I smiled. And how are you liking it? It's good, lonely sometimes. Making friends as an adult is weird. Everyone already has their established groups. I get that. I moved here for college and just never left. Been here 8 years now. What do you do? I'm a teacher, 4th grade, Roosevelt Elementary. His eyebrows went up. Really? That's amazing. I could never do that. Kids are terrifying. They're great once you figure out they're just tiny humans with big feelings and no impulse control. He laughed, a real laugh, and I felt something shift between us. The awkwardness of the jacket situation was fading, replaced by something easier, natural. Our food arrived and we ate and talked. I learned he was 28, 2 years older than me, that he'd studied design at MassArt, that he'd left Boston partly for the job, but mostly to get away from an ex-boyfriend who kept showing up at his apartment wanting to talk things through months after they'd broken up. What about you? He asked. Dating anyone? Not currently. Last relationship ended about 6 months ago. Mutual thing, we just wanted different things. What kind of different things? He wanted to move to New York. I wanted to stay here. We tried the long-distance conversation, but neither of us really wanted that, so we ended it before it got messy. Tavish nodded slowly. That's mature. My breakup was not mature. There was crying in a Whole Foods parking lot. Not my finest moment. Who's crying? Mine, obviously. He was very stoic about the whole thing. I smiled. Well, you seem to have recovered. I'm getting there. Some days are better than others. He paused, pushing noodles around his plate. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why aren't you mad at me about the jacket? Most people would be furious. I thought about it. I don't know. I was attached to that jacket. Yeah, but it's just a thing, and you clearly didn't mean to ruin it. You were trying to do something nice. Misguided, but nice. That's generous. Plus, I added, if you hadn't ruined my jacket, we wouldn't be having lunch right now, so there's a silver lining. He met my eyes across the table, and something passed between us. A recognition, a possibility. That's a very positive way of looking at it, he said quietly. We finished lunch and walked back toward the coffee shop where we'd met. The rain had picked up, and we huddled under the awning of a bookstore, neither of us quite ready to say goodbye. So, Tavish said, I still feel like I owe you a jacket. You really don't. What if I take you shopping? Help you find a replacement? I promise not to wash it afterward. I laughed. You want to take me jacket shopping? I want to make this right. And honestly, I'd like to see you again, if that's okay. My heart did that jumping thing again. Yeah, that's okay. We exchanged numbers, real ones this time, saved in our phones with names attached. Made plans for that Saturday. As I walked back to my car, the ruined jacket in its bag, I felt lighter than I had in months. Saturday came, and Tavish picked me up at my apartment. He was wearing jeans and a dark green Henley that made his eyes look more blue than gray. We drove to this vintage warehouse in Southeast that I'd been meaning to check out. Spent 2 hours trying on jackets and laughing at the ridiculous ones. I found a black leather jacket that fit well. Classic style, good quality. Not the same as my old one, but nothing would be. Tavish bought it without hesitation, waved away my protests. Consider it a very expensive apology, he said. Afterward, we got coffee and walked along the waterfront, talked about everything and nothing. He told me about his family back in Boston, his mom who called every Sunday, his dad who'd taught him to sail. I told him about growing up in Eugene, about choosing teaching because my 4th grade teacher had been the first adult who'd made me feel like being different was okay. Different how? He asked. I was a weird kid, sensitive, artistic, more interested in books than sports, and I knew pretty early that I was gay, even if I didn't have the words for it yet. Mrs. Hernandez just let me be myself, made the classroom feel safe. Tavish nodded. That's a good reason to become a teacher. What made you choose design? I liked making things. My parents wanted me to do something practical, like business or engineering, but I couldn't imagine spending my life in meetings and spreadsheets. I needed to create something. We walked until the sun started setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. When he drove me home, he walked me to my door. I had a really good time today, he said. Me too. Can I see you again? Like, officially, a date. I smiled. I'd like that. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away if I wanted. I didn't want to. The kiss was soft, tentative, full of possibility. When we pulled apart, he was smiling. I'll text you, he said. You better. We started seeing each other regularly after that. Dinners, movies, long walks through the city. He came to my apartment and I went to his. We learned each other's rhythms, preferences, quirks. He liked his coffee black, couldn't function before 9 in the morning, had a habit of humming while he worked. I learned he was thoughtful and funny, a little anxious sometimes, but in a way that made him more real, not less. A month in, we were lying on his couch watching a movie when he said, "I'm really glad I took your jacket." I turned to look at him. "You didn't take it. You grabbed the wrong one." "Okay, I'm glad I grabbed the wrong jacket and then ruined it by washing it." "That's more accurate." He pulled me closer. "I'm serious, though. If I hadn't done that, we wouldn't have met. Not really. We might have passed each other at that party, but we wouldn't have had a reason to connect." "So you're saying destroying my favorite jacket was actually a romantic gesture?" "I'm saying sometimes the best things come from mistakes." I kissed him, long and slow. "You're lucky you're cute." "I know." 3 months later, I was helping him hang artwork in his apartment when I found something in his closet, a jacket, a brown leather bomber jacket that looked exactly like my old one. "Tavish," I called out, "what is this?" He came into the bedroom, saw what I was holding, and his face went red. "Oh, that. This is your jacket, the one you thought was yours that night." "Yeah. It's the same as mine, same style, same color, same vintage look." "I know." I stared at him. "You grabbed the wrong jacket because they were identical." "Basically." "So when you said you'd grabbed your friend's jacket, I meant I grabbed what I thought was my jacket, but it was yours, and mine was still on the rack." I started laughing, couldn't help it. "So we have the same taste in jackets." "Had," he corrected, "past tense, since I destroyed yours." "You know what this means, right?" "What?" "You have to give me yours. It's only fair." He looked genuinely distressed. "But I love this jacket." I loved mine too. We stood there, both of us holding back smiles. Finally, he sighed dramatically. "Fine, you can have it, but only because I'm in love with you." The words hung in the air between us. His eyes went wide, like he couldn't believe he'd said it out loud. "You're in love with me?" I asked softly. "Yeah," he said. "I am. I have been for a while now, and I know it's only been a few months, and maybe it's too soon to say it, but it's true. I'm in love with you, Micah." I set the jacket down on the bed and walked over to him, took his face in my hands. "I'm in love with you too." The kiss was different this time, deeper, a promise. Later, lying in his bed with the afternoon light filtering through the curtains, he traced patterns on my shoulder. "So, do you really want the jacket?" "Nah," I said. "You keep it. It looks better on you anyway." "Liar, we're the same size." "Okay, fine. It looks equally good on both of us. We could share it, joint custody." That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. He laughed, pulling me closer. "Just wait. I've got more where that came from." A year later, we moved in together, found an apartment with enough space for both our stuff, a second bedroom that Tavish turned into a studio. The leather jacket hung in our shared closet, and we did share it, though I wore it more than he did. Sometimes people ask how we met, and we tell them the story. About the party, the mistaken jacket, the washing machine disaster, about how something that should have been a minor catastrophe turned into the beginning of everything. They always laugh, say we're lucky, that it's fate. Maybe it is. Or maybe it's just what Tavish said that night on his couch. Sometimes the best things come from mistakes, from taking the wrong jacket, from trying to make something right, from being willing to see where an accident might lead. I still have that tiny, ruined jacket somewhere in storage. Can't quite bring myself to throw it away. It's a reminder that the best love story I've ever been part of started with a complete disaster, and somehow that feels exactly right.